Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Forbidden Land podcast. I'm going to show you what I ate last night. And then we'll get into the meat of things. I ordered a calzone from a pizza and pub restaurant. And this is what it looked like. Now, I will say, this calzone was promised to me 3,000 years ago. Doesn't this kind of look like a certain country? I mean, doesn't it kind of look like that? Come on now. And it tasted pretty good. What do we think? This calzone that was promised to me 3,000 years ago. What do we think? Exciting week for me. I went to the bank today. And I opened a bank account. And I'm hoping I get a cool little card. I customized it during the appointment. She had to step out for a minute, so I had time to kind of doom scroll all the designs. But yeah, I got a new bank account. I still have my old bank account, to be fair. But this one is a joint account, so that's what makes it special. I now bank officially with technically three banks, if you count my credit card. Just riveting, exciting news. I'm so tired today. I didn't want to record this, but I said I would in the last episode. So I kind of had to. So today's topics are going to be just what I've been up to. It's going to be a very personal episode. So, where I work, we have a middle-aged gay cashier. And there's this guy who comes in. Let me set the scene for you. This guy, he comes in. He's old, his hair's gray, his skin's all wrinkled, he's like crusty, he's cracking apart, basically. Old white guy. A few weeks ago, he like yelled at one of my coworkers. This is the thing, like, I'm sure he's been coming in the whole time. I just didn't notice him till he did that. Like, I didn't remember him until that point. So, every now and then when I have to interact with this guy, the dude reeks bad. Like, dried, not even dry because he looks wet when he comes in. Like, rancid, day-old sweat. Like, sweat a bunch the day before, didn't shower, sweat a bunch that morning. He comes in, passes by me, goes straight to the gay cashier. And he just starts ranting about, like, here's what needs to happen. Like, the gay cashier said something about, like, transporting or something like that. Or transforming. Something with the prefix trans. And this dude went, I like that transgenders. Like, immediately. And then he starts going on about how, you know, they actually do studies where women in the workforce pursuing a career are more depressed than women who bear children and stay at home. That's what he was saying. Then he starts going on about, like, men and women. You know, that's how it's supposed to be. Men and women. The whole time he's saying this to a gay cashier. a gay cashier who is also religious, and he's like he doesn't believe in that shit. You know, he thinks that like God loves everybody and that everybody can do what they want, free will, you know what I mean? And this dude's just like spewing bullshit. He's like, God will save these people and yada yada yada. He walks away. And I was like, what the hell was that? He was like, man, I don't know. This guy was just going on. And I said, he says all that and yet has never seen a stick of deodorant in his life. And we both laugh. But it's like fucked up that this smelly ass, old, crusty ass white dude just gets to riff about like what women should be up to. So that was my bigot of the day. I'm so tired. Let's talk about my plans. I'm running in a charity run tomorrow. So that'll be fun. I don't know how I'm going to do. It's a 3.5 mile run. But, I'm hoping I do fine. I am wildly out of shape. Despite, like, working out and being in a physical, like, state all the time. I'm still pretty out of shape when it comes to endurance. And that's what running basically is, just high endurance activity. So, I don't know how I'm going to do. And I feel like I'm going to, like, give up on running less than a mile in. Alright, let's move on to the stuff that matters. There was a Charlie Kirk memorial service a few days ago. Now, this thing was nuts. Like, they pulled out all the stops. They pulled out all of them. And I want to know... Dude, if I would have yelled throughout this whole episode, I'm going to fucking bash my head in. I want to know why people thought this would be a good idea. And why people are just okay with this. Where is it? Where's the tweet? There it is. This is what Erica Kirk walked out to. Why are we doing pyrotechnics for a woman that's supposed to be mourning her husband? All right. So, of course, somebody posted this. This whole like show, this whole song and dance is really sad because like, look, I wasn't a fan of Charlie Kirk at all. The rhetoric he spewed was disgusting, and you know, his ideology was awful, and it was very divisive and bigoted and factually incorrect time and time again. And all it served was to stoke fear and hatred in those that believed what he was saying. But I do, in some twisted up, sad way, kind of feel bad for him in the sense that the way he's honored after his death is the Republicans and the conservatives picking his like figurative corpse up and just parading it in the streets while shouting, "We should start killing leftists and arresting leftists and liberals for this." Why? Like, why is this what this is? Candace Owens had like the only endearing, heartfelt, in memory of post out of everybody, and like, she seems to be the only one that actually cared about him, by the way. But like, his wife shows a little bit of emotion during this memorial. Erica does show some kind of emotional, like, response here that's not just a call to kill people or a call to arrest political enemies. The president, I don't think, could give any fucks less. Like, I don't think Trump cares. I think a lot of people in Charlie Kirk's life care. I think even JD Vance probably cares. I don't think Donald Trump could care less. Like, I feel like he didn't lose any sleep that night. He didn't mourn at all. That's what it feels like. And what a better example than what he announced during one of his rambling sessions during the memorial.
And tomorrow we're going to have one of the biggest announcements, really medically, I think, in the history of our country. We're going to be doing it with Bobby and Oz and all of the professionals. I think you're going to find it.
He just has one of the... They all have, like, sort of a look of, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are we doing a campaign speech right now? Or an administration speech during a memorial service? This really is the tacky Walmart administration, dude.
Be amazing. I think we found an answer to autism. How about that? Autism tomorrow.
Dude, look at him. This man sold his soul. Fuck him. I didn't like him before. I still don't like him. He sold his soul, man. Look at this.
Autism tomorrow. We're going to be talking.
Autism tomorrow.
In the Oval Office in the White House about autism. And
autism tomorrow. If you're wondering, the autism announcement. You hear that, folks? The reason why me and my sister have autism is because my mother took too much Tylenol during her pregnancies. Donald Trump said that Tylenol use during pregnancy causes autism in babies and advises pregnant women not to take it, despite there being no evidence of this. And he also says, quote, women should just tough it out. Because there are no alternatives to Tylenol when you're pregnant. Tylenol's the safest, pretty much the safest painkiller you can take when you're pregnant.
Effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of
acetaminophen, by the way.
That acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol during pregnancy, can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. Effective immediately.
I don't understand what this administration is doing. I know why they're doing this, because this little slimy piece of garbage, snake oil salesman on the right, Dr. Oz, has some stake in some medication that's supposed to, quote unquote, cure autism or fix the effects of autism or something. But I don't understand what the point of this presidency is. I feel like we're not going to survive as a country through this term. That's how I feel. I think this country's done after this term. Like, we're not making it through. I don't think we are. And God forbid another Republican win the presidency. we'd be plunged into it immediately. And if a Democrat won, it would just delay the inevitable. Because you already know the Democrats not going to fix anything at all.
Immediately, the FDA will be notified.
We already watched that clip, but yeah.
Said, well, let's see how. I said, well.
I said, yeah. Acetaminophen. Nobody ran that through him before that press conference.
Country's going through what this country's going through, what parts of the world are going through. And I will say there are parts of the world that don't take Tylenol. I mean, there's a rumor, and I don't know if it's so or not, that Cuba, they don't have Tylenol because they don't have the money for Tylenol, and they have virtually no autism, okay? Tell me about that one. And there are other parts of the world where they don't have Tylenol, where they don't have autism. That tells you a lot. This country is going through what...
Says people in Cuba can't afford Tylenol and they have no autism. Man. Take new oh, awesome. Another Epstein joke. Yeah, we get it, guys. Tylenol actually did respond. And I feel like they're gonna probably sue him for this. There's no way they didn't take a huge hit from this. Also,
autism, how about that? Autism tomorrow. Autism, how about that? Autism tomorrow.
Such a good little sound bit. I think this shit's so gross. I just think it's gross. Like it's gonna cause pregnant women to freak out if they've already been taking Tylenol and they believe this shit. They're gonna freak out. They're gonna think their kid has autism now. It's gonna alienate kids with autism who are gonna grow up and blame their mother for why they have autism. It's going to cause pregnant women to just suffer through pregnancy. It increase their chances of mortality, of fatality during childbirth from just pain. So many things wrong with this. I don't understand why we're even allowing this to happen. And then they had parents go up there and start talking about their kids with autism. One of them has a high functioning kid, another one has a low functioning. That's what they were saying. And it's like, okay. Like, and what, this is supposed to be the big breakthrough? The kid's already born, dog. So you're just accepting that you caused this? You took too much Tylenol, and that's what caused this? I mean, be so serious. That's ridiculous. Yeah. And of course RFK is the one behind it. RFK, you could tell him there's autism in the fucking chocolate in this country and he'd issue a statement. You know, that man does not care. He would rather your kid die than your kid to have autism by chance. You know. Him being like, if you give your kid the vaccine, they're gonna get autism. Yeah, well, okay, fine. That's cool. I'm fine with that. If that was true, and it's not, but if it was true that the vaccines give your kids autism, then sure. I'd rather them be alive. That's the other bad part, is that they're stigmatizing it in a way where they're making parents think that it's worse for your kid to have like a strange person, like a unique, strange personality and hyperfixations. You know, to think that that's worse than death. That's what they want you to think. It's just so it's bullshit. Uh, and it's one of those like people that are not smart, lack critical thinking skills, don't know how to put two and two together. They correlate things that aren't related at all. They get their kids vaccinated, and then around the time that the symptoms of autism start to show is in that same period that you're recommended to give your kids the vaccine. And so two things are happening at once, and people think that one causes the other, and it doesn't. It just doesn't. If lightning strikes a quarter mile away and my car just so happens to catch on fire, I'm not going to think that the lightning caught my car on fire. They just happen to happen at the same time, pretty far away. The only difference is that the vaccines can't give your kid autism, as opposed to lightning being able to set your car on fire. Like, come on. It's just ridiculous. I've gotten vaccines. I already had shit wrong with me before those vaccines. But I'm getting a flu shot this winter. Look, fully grown adults, if you don't want to get vaccinated and you want to take one for the team and just fucking die a horrific pre-1950s like, World War I era style death where you die of like pooping too hard, you go for it. You do what you want, girl. Do whatever you want. Second you start getting your kids involved, you are an utterly evil, disgusting, stupid, unbelievably fucking dumb piece of shit. Endangering your child because you're too stupid to admit that you're too stupid. Like, too dumb to admit that you're not a doctor and you don't know everything, and you shouldn't be listening to people who aren't doctors. And maybe you should do an ounce of research to figure out that when some doctor in America goes, yeah, we partnered with the Fuck Autistic Kids Foundation and found that vaccines cause autism, and so we're actually going to tell you to take this other vaccine, and don't look into who has stakes in those companies. Don't look into who has shares in these pharmaceutical companies that I'm pushing while trying to discredit this other pharmaceutical company. And obviously I'm talking about the founder of the autistic vaccine hoax, who is no longer a doctor. He had to move here to make money because he's a quack and washed. But that dude owned a vaccine company that sold every vaccine individually. And he was pushing the lie that if you get the MMR vaccine, it'll give your kid autism. So instead, you should get his individual vaccines for measles, mumps, and rubella because it would turn him a profit. Andrew Wakefield, that's his name. Okay, his name wasn't coming to my mind. I was like, it's not David something. It's Andrew Wakefield. That's what he was up to. He faked these studies and drummed up this whack-ass nonsense about, autism being caused by the MMR vaccine in England. Meanwhile, on the side, he had his own vaccine company, and he was trying to get that off the ground. And then they ripped his medical license away from him, and he moved to America, and now he does talks at like conspiracist events and whatnot because he's washed. H Bomber Guy has a really good video about that. Yeah, this country is so dumb, dude. And it's not their fault. You should be ruthless to systems, not individuals. And unfortunately, systems are designed to make individuals as malleable and impressionable and gullible as possible. So you'll just believe any crap they tell you. One of the things they lie to you about is the whole conservative movement being like, actually, you shouldn't get your kid vaccinated. That's one of the things they lie to you about, amongst other things. This administration is just ripe with lies and bullshit and crap. to keep their base being like, yeah, fuck yeah, I love this shit. Yeah. That's why they do it. They feed you these little crumbs so you ignore all the horrible evil shit they're doing. And even then, some of the horrible evil shit they do, people like. Us blowing up a boat full of innocent people. A lot of people actually like that for some reason. I don't know why. They just do. What was that? I heard something loud hit the wall. But yeah. This country is designed to keep you stupid. So you'll stay in line. And be a nice little servant for the for the elite. The upper class. The top 1%, one may say. Anywho. I just thought it was gross. Like, it's so embarrassing to announce that you're going to talk about the cure to autism during a memorial. Like, I know the memorial is about a guy that was awful, but, like, come on. No class at all? How are people not more upset by that? Speaking of Charlie Kirk and Trump being so just not give a fuck about it, Jimmy Kimmel made a joke about this. He made a joke about Trump. And let me preface by saying that they took him off the air and tried to say that it's because of the Kirk comments. You will not find a negative comment about Charlie Kirk in this clip. Because it doesn't exist. He doesn't say anything bad about Charlie Kirk. That's the crazy part.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction.
That's all he said. And they took his show off the air. Now, apparently, the reason they took it off the air also is because the Trump administration was upset. And apparently, ABC and Disney are trying to play ball with, the Federal Trade Commission because they're trying to go through with a large merger at the moment. And now, because they brought the show back, now they might run into some trouble with the administration. And I would say, even if you are a large billion-dollar corporation, the government threatening to violate the First Amendment to get you to stay in line, that should be something you draw the line at. Because in the short term, yeah, you'll keep making money. How do you expect to survive in the long term if your First Amendment violations are being violated? I also saw a lot of TV show hosts try to be like, this is the most blatant First Amendment violation I've ever seen from the federal government. And this is not even close to the First Amendment violation the Trump administration's done so far. Mahmoud Khalil comes to mind. They literally detained him for being pro-Palestine. So you can't really say that this is the most blatant violation when they've been doing this. It's just this time it happened to be a public figure. Also, I hate that they're forcing me to defend Jimmy Kimmel. What a shame, huh? They're forcing me to defend Jimmy Kimmel. Ugh. awful.
Hope you're enjoying the episode. If you want to support us, you can go over to patreon.com/forbiddenlandpod. You can subscribe for $10 a month to get bonus content. Or you can subscribe for $1 or $3 a month if you just want to support us. There's also higher tiers if you want to support us even more, even harder. But you don't have to. So head on over to patreon.com/forbiddenlandpod. And for $10 a month, you can get the bonus episodes and even bonus content like the outtakes for this little segment. So thanks for supporting us and thanks for listening.
Now, what I want to do is watch this clip where the former vice president, former Democratic presidential candidate, went on the Rachel Maddow show on MSNBC and proceeded to say one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. This is the problem with the Democrats, is they love to do this post-game hindsight 2020. Here's what we didn't want to do because it would have jeopardized our chances after they've lost. You know, if you run a play and it's a losing play, you fumble hard, you don't get to go back and go, well, we were going to do this play, but we didn't think it was going to work, so we went with this one, which, you know, seeing as it's now after that, you see that one didn't work either. So what do we really know? Like, that's literally what it is. What do the Democrats really know about winning when they can't win? And I would say Mom Donnie is a perfect example of what it looks like to win. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but the candidate running for the Minneapolis mayor race, the guy that won the primary against the incumbent mayor, that guy's another good example of what it takes to win an election as a Democrat. And it's to run progressive, for the people, anti-corporation policies, social safety net based policies. Bring back New Deal Democrats, buff them up a little bit, make them a little bit more progressive than old New Deal Democrats. Please, something, guys. But I want to show you what Harris had to say about her VP candidate pick. And this is a perfect example of the post-game analyzation after you've already lost, talking about stuff you didn't do because you thought it would make you lose.
Let me ask you a politics question. I mentioned in the intro tonight that you say in the book really bluntly that your personal first choice for your running mate would have been Pete Buttigieg, and you praise him effusively. You say he would have been an ideal partner if I were a straight man. And you say effectively that demographically it was too much to ask of the American people to ask them to elect you with him as your running mate. I wonder if his reaction to that, since this part of the book has come out, if you've had any reflection on that, or...
Keep in mind, Pete Buttigieg still has a 0% support vote amongst black women, or amongst black voters, I think. Look, saying that you can't run Pete Buttigieg as your VP, not because of his policies, which he doesn't have good policies, but because he's gay? Like, what? The identity of the person running shouldn't matter if you have good ideas. If you have a good message, good policies, you know, if you put forward a good message and you look good to the people you're running for. Like I said earlier, take Zohran Mamdani, for example. A Muslim man running in New York City, of all places. Something that would have never worked 20 years ago. You know, him doing that now, you know, if he had ran a typical Democrat campaign like Harris did, he would have lost the primary to Andrew Cuomo. But because he has good progressive policies that speak to a certain demographic that were starving, literally and figuratively, for a solution to the horrible problems in New York City. You know, him running that kind of messaging is what won him the primary. It doesn't matter that he's a Muslim socialist. He has good ideas, a good message, a good image. He's got a good reputation. He actually seems like he cares. He seems authentic. You know, Harris being a black woman in the United States, yes, that put her at a bit of a disadvantage as the candidate running for president. Is it what lost her the election? Absolutely not. What lost her the election was running the exact same campaign as Joe Biden. The issue we had with Biden wasn't that he was just an old white guy. Our issue with Joe Biden was also that his policies were garbage. He was running like a moderate, almost Republican-esque campaign. And then she led us astray for like a month and then goes and does the exact same thing. So, you know, her saying that Pete Buttigieg is too gay for the American people. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. That's such bullshit. A Democrat in today's day and age saying that a candidate is too gay to run on the public stage. Keep in mind, this is the woman that lost the primary in 2020 before anybody else. She was the first one to lose the primary and drop out. Pete Buttigieg lasted longer than she did. You know, Mayor Pete or whatever they call him. He just has shitty policies. If he was like pro high-speed rail and didn't just tease us about it during the Biden years, if he was pro high-speed rail and had like good progressive social economic policies and wasn't a charisma sinkhole, him being gay wouldn't matter at all. You know, people would still elect him. But because he's also an unappealing candidate, the Democrats can take that and go, oh, actually, it's because he's gay. Has nothing to do with his dog shit policies. It's because he's gay. That's me throwing the term, you know, I'm holding the word gay. It's because he's gay. Boom, you know, boom. That's gay, you know, that's why. It has nothing to do with him being pro-Israel and being just a moderate centrist, zero ideas, zero ideology, wet blanket piece of blank paper. Has nothing to do with that.
I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Yeah.
With you running as, you know, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a black woman and a South Asian woman elected to that high office, very nearly elected president. To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket.
Then what are you saying? That's how it reads. What are you saying then?
Because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for president of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for president of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high.
So you didn't pick him because he's gay. So shut the fuck up then. Why are you even saying that's not how you said it? You just took the roundabout way of saying, actually, that is what I meant. I didn't pick him because he's gay. And I thought we didn't have a winning chance because he's gay. Think back to the Brat Summer shit. Think back to that. Think back to when Biden dropped out. Hope seemed realistic again. Kamala Harris starts running, picks Tim Walz. Already they start talking about like decent housing policies and start tiptoeing around like child lunch programs and tax credits for the middle class and increasing taxes on the wealthy. And you start to feel a little bit of hope. She's not budging on foreign policy. It seems she's still spewing pro-Israel bullshit. which makes a lot of people hesitant. But at least it seems, at least it seems like there's some hope. If Pete Buttigieg had progressive policies and was like Tim Walz, that we would have felt the same way. There's this hope again. A fresh candidate and a fresh VP pick. And, there's actually hope that we might win this thing. Regardless of all of that, the moderate to right-wing swing they took after the DNC would have killed this campaign regardless of who the VP pick was. She chose a progressive candidate like Tim Walz, who's also an old white guy, trying to play the Obama strategy, pick an old white guy to win the moderate Democrats over. But then they, ignored all the progressives in the party, the left flank. The people who didn't show up to vote, or chose not to vote for Kamala Harris, were either Democrats who were burned out on this garbage messaging from the Democrats, or it was progressives that were upset with the Democrats' stance on issues like the genocide in Gaza. So it wouldn't have mattered if she had chosen Pete or not. The result would have been the same, because she ran a dogshit campaign.
But I also realized it would be a real risk. No matter how, I've been an advocate and an ally of the LGBT community my entire life. So it wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but
that
we had such a short period of time.
I feel like Rachel's not satisfied with this answer. Like, at all. And she can't express it in the interview because it would derail the interview. But because then it would just become a contested. This is supposed to be like a PR press interview to promote the book. So obviously she can't bring this up, but you can tell to some extent based on her body language, like the looks on her face. Rachel Maddow ain't down with this answer, because the answer is just the long way of saying, yeah, we didn't pick him because he's gay. He's too gay. He's too gay, folks.
And the stakes were so...
And Trump would have made fun of him for being gay. That was the other thing she said. Trump knows no floor. He made fun of you for being Indian. His vice presidential pick said the White House would smell like curry. That's just how they are. So saying you also didn't pick him because they'd make fun of him for being gay. So what? They did that anyway. They made fun of you for being black and Indian. They made jokes about you being black. They made jokes about you being Indian. Trump said you can't be both, so he's already denying your racial identity to your face. And J.D. Vance, who has an Indian wife, was saying that the White House would smell like curry. So, I don't know what to say. Wasn't that J.D. Vance that said that? Let me make sure. I have it in the doc, actually, from an old episode. Yeah, episode 86, War the Republic is Crumbling. How funny is that? Just a roundabout way. What is this? Is this the video about it? It is. Oh my god. Yeah, JD Vance on Meet the Press. Unmute it, please. The sound isn't available anymore. He went on Meet the Press. I gotta find this clip, dude. God. Where is it? Is there really not an available clip? If I remove the words Meet the Press. No. God. Oh, never mind. I think... What is this?
I want to shift to another topic. I've been talking to allies of former President Trump who are frankly outraged. They're alarmed that Donald Trump has been traveling with Laura Loomer. She is someone who says she supports white nationalism. She spread conspiracy theories, including that the September 11th attacks are an inside job. Those comments specifically.
To get dropped in a small Ohio town. Now, you asked about Laura Loomer. Look, Laura Loomer is not affiliated with the Trump campaign. She said something about curry in the White House that I first read about this morning, actually, because I knew that you would ask me about it. Look, Kristen, I make a mean chicken curry. I don't think that it's insulting for anybody to talk about their dietary preferences or what they want to do in the White House. I think what Laura said about Kamala Harris is not what we should be focused on. We should be focused on the policy and on the issues. And look, so yeah, do I agree with what Laura Loomer said about Kamala Harris? No, I don't. I also don't think that this is actually an issue of national import. Is Laura Loomer running for president?
Oh my God. So he didn't say that comment. He just defended it. Keep in mind, I'm pretty sure Laura Loomer making that comment is what got Trump to stop asking her for her head. Dude, people that didn't follow that during the election probably have no idea what that means. Which is so funny.
So high. I think Pete is a phenomenal public servant.
Yeah, I bet you do.
And I think America is and would be ready for that. But when I had to make that decision with 2 weeks to go, you know, and maybe I was being too cautious. You know, I'll let our friends, we should all talk about that. Maybe I was, but that's the decision I made, and I, as with everything else in the book, I'm being very candid about that.
Yeah.
With a great deal of sadness about also the fact that it might have been a risk.
Will you consider running in 2028?
That's not my focus right now.
I know
it's not my focus.
Please don't.
I know it really isn't.
You know, I'm just going to...
Just say no.
Let me
Why does this lady never give an answer? Oh my God. She sucks at answering questions. Why can't she just give a yes or no? Why does she always do this? She always does this. Kamala, what'd you have for lunch? Well, as a prosecutor in the state of California, you know, I had to prosecute a lot of people that ate lunch. That's literally how she answers questions. Will you run in 2028? I'm not focused on that right now. Just say no. Nobody wants to see you run in 2028, dog. Nobody. Absolutely zero people want to see you run. She has no chance of winning. Yeah, you want to hand the Republicans a shiny gold ticket to the White House in 2028, you run Kamala Harris. Go ahead. Ugh. I also heard in this book she said that she was privately disagreeing with Biden on Gaza. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for that, Kamala. Could have totally just come out on the campaign trail and said that you disagreed with him on that. Probably would have helped you, actually. To some extent. Would have given you a little boost in some of the swing states. Wow. So brave and private and such a fucking coward in public. Like, absolute coward. That's so crazy. Hey Kamala, what kind of shoes do you like to wear? Well, you know, on the campaign trail, I knew a lot of people. I met a lot of nice, fine folk that wore shoes. And that's the thing about shoes, right? Is, you know, we as Americans, we all got to wear shoes. It's all something we can all unite and relate on. And, you know, when I was a prosecutor for however many fucking years, I saw a lot of people that wore shoes. Some people didn't. Those people we brought into the fold, we got them shoes by sending them to prison and giving them prison-issued shoes. And, you know, I think as a nation, fundamentally, it is important that we focus on the real issues here. And you know, unite on the fact that, well, really, we all wear shoes. Well, Kamala, do you have an answer? Like, what shoes do you like to wear? You know what? Frankly, I don't know. So stupid. God.
You're not considering it now, but are you saying, when you said you're not going to run for governor of California?
Correct.
Were you saying you are never going to run for anything ever again, or were you just saying, I'm not going to run for that office right now?
That was the decision before me, and I made the decision not to run for governor of California. By the way, there are a lot of great candidates running, and I love my state, and we want somebody to definitely follow in the footsteps of Gavin in terms of standing up and understanding the power that California has to stand up to what we're saying in D.C.
As politic as you are being in those remarks, you are beautifully impolitic in this book in a way that makes it.
Yeah, we get it. Here's Kamala Harris's quote unquote endorsement of Zohran Mamdani. It's so hard for the Democrats to just endorse a candidate for something that's not like strictly a moderate liberal voice. Anybody that's progressive or anti-Israel, they just cannot fathom endorsing that kind of candidate.
The race for New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani picking up his biggest endorsement yet. Former Vice President Kamala Harris says she's backing him, sort of. Eyewitness News reporter Phil Taven is in the newsroom.
Sort of.
Harris, who said she supports the Democrat in the race. Harris concerned it comes at a critical.
Are they going to play the clip?
Speaker Carl Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, cool. Wow, thanks ABC7 for talking over the clip when you could just play the fucking clip. Here's the clip. Jesus Christ. Bunch of bullshit. I bit my fucking lip, I swear. I'm so over it.
You describe in the book something that you called a secret project that you ran as vice president, that you called the STARS Project, identifying up-and-coming talent in the Democratic Party.
Oh, if that was your project, you fucking suck at it. Is she for real? Dude, if that was your job in secret, you sucked at it. Horribly. Oh my God.
Them about their interests. You say that more than one of them said they felt like they were being called to the principal's office when you asked them to come in. But the folks who you met with in this way include some of the people who you see very frequently now on MSNBC. Jasmine Crockett, Angela Also Brooks, Maxwell Frost, Robert Garcia Moore.
I do like Jasmine Crockett. She can be a little out of hand sometimes, but I do like her. She's the energy we need in the Democratic Party. Maxwell Frost was cool until I found out he was pro-Israel, and now I'm not really super down with him. Yeah, I think he's the first Gen Z House member, and I was kind of hyped for him, but he's just another typical liberal Democrat, so I don't really care about him anymore, unfortunately.
Arguably the fastest rising star right now in Democratic politics is Zohran Mamdani, who is going to be elected mayor of New York City, and probably in a landslide if the polls are anything to go by. Lots of mainline Democrats have been very shy about his candidacy. They seem somewhat flummoxed by his success. As a sort of talent spotter in the Democratic Party, what do you think of him and his candidacy? And what do you think of mainline Democratic shyness and agitation about the prospect that he's going to win?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, he's the Democratic nominee and he should be supported.
Wow, great answer. Yeah, like Governor Kathy Hochul, very like hesitantly saying she supports Mamdani, and I think Mamdani straight up was like, actually, fuck you, I don't need your endorsement. Chuck Schumer being dead silent on this pretty much. Rishi Torres or Richie Torres, however you say his name, that demon I talked about a couple weeks ago, who represents the Bronx, and you'll know he represents the Bronx. All he ever fucking talks about. Won't talk about the issues in the Bronx, but we'll talk about how he's representing the Bronx. I don't think he likes Mamdani either. So definitely a lot of Democrat hesitancy here for Mamdani, which, I mean, obviously, they're the party of corporate interest and the controlled opposition for the Republicans, so they're not going to like a guy that genuinely shakes things up for the country, you know?
Do you endorse his candidacy?
I support the Democrat in the race, sure. But let me just say this.
She can't even say his name. I support the Democrat in the race. Okay, wow. Stunning endorsement. It's just so obvious that she doesn't like him. Like, so obvious.
He's not the only star. I know that, he's in New York.
Yeah, now she's gonna list off a bunch of fucking no names in other cities. I don't know who any of them are. I'm sure some of them are good, but like, she's gonna list off these like random cities in the US. It's like, this is the mayoral candidate for New York City. This is a big deal. Everybody looks to New York City as like an example of a bustling, huge economic powerhouse city. And if he does well and changes the city for the better, it sets a precedent for future candidates that, hey, look at how much New York City's thriving. Don't you want that for the rest of the country?
And I know New Yorkers think they're the
Or you
center
want
of the
that?
world.
Or do you want that for like your state? Use that as a starting point, then expand nationally?
And here we are in New York having this interview.
It is the biggest city in the country.
And I love New York, as the saying goes. I really do. But
I love New York, as the saying goes. This person does not. This person boggles my mind. I don't know what to even say. Alien, dude. She's like, she's got like alien brain. I love New York, as the saying goes. What do you mean, like a taxi cab bumper sticker? Or says like I Heart New York, or like one of those blank white t-shirts that says I Heart NY. Like, is that what you're saying there? Oh God.
I mean, there are people like Barbara Drummond in Mobile, Alabama, Helena Moreno in New Orleans. They're all running for mayor too, and they are stars. So I hope that we don't so over-index on New York City that we lose sight of the stars throughout our country who are right now running for mayor and many other offices, governor, and so on. So that's where I am. We got a big tent, and we got a lot of stars.
2026 is shaping up to be an election that is going to be filled with Democratic primaries, though. And a lot of mainline Democrats in their 70s and 80s are going to be facing challengers in their 30s. Do you think Democrats are at all justified in their frustration with there being so many older Democrats in elected office? Do you think it is time for the...
Oh, you mean like the guy that ran for president alongside her on the same ticket? Like that guy? Yeah, let's hear what she has to say about that.
Oldest Democrats in elected office to be thinking kind of wholesale as a category about the need to retire and move on from office?
I wouldn't overgeneralize on that, meaning that there are some Democrats who are, older in age, but very young in terms of how they are thinking and very bold.
This is like a big polling issue amongst Democrats, is they think the party's getting too old, that it's a gerontocracy. What do you mean you don't want to generalize? This is a legitimate problem. Nancy Pelosi's walking into Congress with a walker. Chuck Schumer is like fucking half asleep half the time on the Senate floor like this. I think, hey, Trump, you're a pedophile. And like, that's all he does. And it's because he's too old to even know what's going on anymore. This is a big problem in the party. ugh, dude, she stands for nothing. She's so, like, unhelpful to the party at large. God, I hope she goes the way of, like, John Kerry and Hillary Clinton, where they lose their election and just disappear from the party. Like, we still hear from Obama because at least he won some shit and gave us the ACA. Like, come on. At least he won some stuff. She's literally only won one election, and it was to become the vice president, pretty much. If you don't, unless you count her Senate win. Like winning, I mean, a ham sandwich could win a Senate election in California if you label it as a Democrat. So get it? Because she was a prosecutor, and there's an old prosecutor joke about indicting a ham sandwich.
In terms of how they're thinking, I think that every one of the candidates is going to be judged based on whether they actually have a plan, whether they see the people, whether they're listening to them, whether they offer something that feels dynamic and bold, especially at this moment, whether they have the fight in them to fight what we know to be wrong, but also the fight to fight for something. I think that's how they're going to be judged. I don't know that the voters are going to judge strictly on somebody's age.
I think they will, actually. I think they're gonna. I mean, we did that pretty heavily with Biden, where we were like, "This man's too old, dude." He's like 80 something. Like, can we get him off the ticket? Ugh, God. Okay, to end this off, I would like to do something I have never actually done before on the podcast, and that is show you guys my water park simulator world. That's right. I want to show you guys my water park. I've been playing Water Park Simulator for like 3 weeks now. I want to show you guys my water park. So without further ado, here's my water park. And I actually renamed it, so I don't know why it still says that. You know, it's funny, for once this podcast has a reason for being in 60 frames a second. Encoder overloaded. Alright, let's hope this works. So, welcome to my water park. Got all my employees. So you come in. Oh yeah, here's the name of the water park. Hurricane Park. You come in. Got the lemonade stand right here. Little jukebox. Got the ice cream stand. Rocky, you might want to restock those. Hey Rocky, you might want to go restock this. See ya, Rocky. Got the hot dog stand. I run this one personally. This is my my stand right here. Got some snack and soda machines. More snack and soda machines. A whole lane of snack and soda machines. So then you come over here. Got this figure 8 pool. This is one of my favorite ones. I've had it almost the entire time that I've been playing this game. Got some seating. Got kind of like a dark blue and black theme here. A little bit more seating. A row of bathrooms, you know, because people gotta pee. Got this huge pool here, literally just so I can put the big tube slide going into it. This pool's neat, I guess. It replaced my old circle pool I had here for leisure. So, yeah, I really hope this is fine in the recording. So we come over here. Right here is the slightly bigger pool, literally just for my 4 tube slide. And I added that little mushroom in there, you know, little decorations, make it a little nicer. Got a big diving board right here. Okay. Boom. Here, let's ride the slide. Oh yeah, I got this huge pool right here. I actually really like how this one looks. This one's really pretty looking. And it's gigantic too. I kind of want to put a better diving board on it, but I already have this one over here, so I don't know. We'll see if I do that. Sure, I could. I have $132,000. So here's how it looks when you go down the slide. Wow. So fun. Got some more seating. You know, entrance to the bathroom over here. All these toilets. What was that? Who just cackled like that? Anyway, got a little side pool over here just for fun. A little slide, just to give people something to do on it. Another diving board. Another little snack area over here. Trash cans. More seating areas. I'm big on seating areas. People gotta sit. People gotta sit. People gotta shit. People gotta sit. You know what I'm saying? Got these little decorations over here. A huge loop-de-loop slide. These crazy ass looking slides. Yeah, these are kind of insane. But this pool is gigantic. Look at how long this thing is. People don't really use this one all that much, unfortunately. I don't think it's a big seller, you know. Yeah, I think I see maybe like 4 people swimming in it at a time, out of the 100 people that are usually here. Oh yeah, here's the showers, part of the bathroom area. I love this little middle area. Got this corner pool, a little bit of leisure. This is probably one of my favorite areas of the park. Got this slide right here, goes into this clover pool. Got this corner pool with all the leisure. And then we got this. I got the big inflatable slide. All this seating. Nice little decoration. A diving board. Another diving board. You know, just keeping it simple. More seating. And this neat little water thing right here. And right here. I just really like this pool. And I even got the lifeguard chair. This is just like my most fleshed out pool out of the bunch. I think all the other ones are just too big for me to like really care about them. Yeah, this is my park. The view is kind of crazy of all these slides off in the distance. It just looks really insane from like afar. But yeah. What's up, Aiden? Bro's fully stocked. Thing's up to the brim. Oh yeah, I got a little seating area right here. This is what I mean. Seating out the wazoo. I don't have that full decoration level for nothing. And even then, I still want to put more decorations over here. I feel like this is very lacking. I could probably line this up with chairs, you know, put some foliage over here like that. Line this with chairs, put a, you know, a diving board over here. That's not just this one. Put like another diving board over here. You know, put a diving board right here too. Don't know why I haven't. Such an empty space. Definitely could. So definitely a lot of improvement I could make on this park. But I like it. Wow, look at that brick wall. This is peak game design right here. But yeah, I like this. You know, gave me something to do for a couple weeks. I just kind of hyper fixated on it for a little bit. But yeah, that's my little water park tour. Anyways, that's the episode. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to head on over to patreon.com/forbiddenlandpod and support the podcast. Watch some of the bonus content. If you want to listen to this podcast on other platforms, we are on pretty much every platform, including, but not limited to, the Samsung Smart Fridge. I actually just realized that we have a Samsung fridge, but it's not a smart fridge. Maybe one day it'll play my podcast. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, for tuning in. And yeah. Adios. Peace.